just a couple reminders for this week. Remember, your test is on Thursday. So Tuesday, I'm gonna give you a review guide. We're gonna work on it together. It's gonna be great. So this is the last lesson before we take our test. Okay, so label the extrema as relative or absolute minimum and maximum. Remember, extrema is just a fancy word for min or max. Okay, so coming back over here, what is this dot right here? Relative maximum. Why is it relative, not absolute? Okay, it goes up forever, so no, it's not absolute. What about this guy? Relative minimum. Okay. All right, what about this guy down here? Relative minimum. Okay. What about this guy right here? Okay, so there's two absolute maximums?
No.
Are there two absolute maximums?
Relative maximum.
So this, since they're the same y value, you could count these as absolute maximums, and there's two of them. Okay. It kind of depends on the question because I've seen both ways. Okay.
Well, I thought you said that we can't have an absolute.
You can't have an absolute maximum if it's continuing up, right? But this is the highest point, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about this guy right here? I don't know why I'm trying to draw in a black circle. Relative max. Okay. What about this guy? Fantastic. So good on that. Okay. We remember what relative maximums look like. Okay. So you're going to label your paper interpreting key features. Interpreting key features. Darius, what's on it? We are going to determine intervals of increase and decrease. Okay. I feel like you have already done this in Algebra 1. But if you haven't, it's okay. The graph is increasing or decrease. So y's values are going up or down over the intervals x values for which y is increasing or decreasing. Okay, so what I'd like for you to write down is the graph is increasing or decreasing. So your y values are going up or down over the intervals domain. I was trying to figure out what word was going there. It's taking me a second. Okay, so another way to look at this is to say, all right, if you were on a roller coaster, like you're getting on Goliath at Six Flags, and you get on the roller coaster on the left-hand side, right? Are we going up or down? We're going up right here. You would be telling me, when are we going up? Well, yes, right now. But on the graph, it shows you, right? So like, for instance, this would be increasing from negative infinity to what is our x value right here? Like negative points. Oh, I'm sorry, -1.
Yeah. Wait, it's two.
Yeah, it's negative 1 because it's in between, right? So let's say to -1. Okay. From here to here. So from this part to this part, are we going up or down? We're going down, right? This is the part where you're regretting being on the roller coaster, right? Okay. So we would be decreasing from -1 to what's our x value right here? We're gonna say 1, right? Roughly.
Yeah.
This graph is trash, but that's okay. All right, and then we're going back up because roller coasters never stop. Okay, so when is that happening? Well, it's happening on 1 to positive infinity. I don't know, that would be terrifying. Just keep going. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to draw this graph on your paper and label increasing, decreasing. So take a second, write that down. Okay, So we always look at our graph from left to right. Okay, so again, imagine yourself being on a ride. This is the best stick figure of your life. Okay, are we going up or down? Okay, so we're increasing, right? Okay, and where are we increasing on? Negative infinity to what? So what's my x value? Negative 3. Remember, we're wanting to look at our x values, okay? The y is we're increasing, right? But the x values are telling me when that's happening, right? Okay, on the next part, are we increasing or decreasing? Decreasing. Okay, and why is that line so swoopy? Okay, and we're decreasing from -3 to about like -0.5. Okay, y'all are telling me the y value. I need the x.
Oh, -0.5. Yeah, 0.5.
Okay. All right, can you figure out this next part? Take a second. Okay, so are we increasing or decreasing on this next part? Okay, and where are we increasing from? -0.5 to what? 2, right? Okay. Again, okay, okay. So where are we decreasing from? To the y'all are looking at the y values. Look at the x. 2 to positive infinity. Okay. A lot of people make the mistakes of telling me the y values. I already know what the y value is doing. It's either increasing or decreasing. I'm asking you for the x. Okay. So x is going to tell me when this is happening. Y is telling me where it is happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next part. So this is going to determine whether it's a positive or negative. Okay. So to determine where the function is positive or negative, the graph is positive or negative. The y values are above or below the x-axis over the intervals domain. Okay, so take a second, write this down. Positive or negative. So kind of summarize this. If it's positive, it's going to be above the x-axis. If it's negative, it's going to be below the x-axis. And then you're just telling me when that's happening. So for instance, on number 1, we see that it crosses the x-axis right here, right? Okay, so for positive, can't spell positive. Positive. Okay, so for positive, we're from here and over, right? So this x value is going to give me -3 to positive infinity. Negative is going to be below the x-axis. Okay, so that's going to be from negative infinity. That's going to be from negative infinity to -3. Notice how I'm using parentheses on both of these. Can you take a moment? Can you look at this problem? So graph this on your paper and tell me when it's positive, when it's above the x-axis, and when it's negative. For positive, you will have 2 different intervals. Take a second. Positive. Okay, so what is the interval for that? Negative infinity to what's this x value? Okay, so we've got positive, and it's going to be from negative infinity to 2. A -2, I'm sorry. But it's above the x-axis.
No, he's saying like.
Right, the line is going down. But we're talking about whether it's positive, so above the x-axis, or below.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. All right, what about this next part? Is it positive or is it negative? Negative. Okay, and what is the interval for that one? Where does it start? at -2. And where does it stop?
One.
-0.5. All right, I'll agree with that. Okay, what about this next part? Is it positive or negative? Okay, and where is that interval happening? -0.5 to where? Ah. To infinity. It keeps going on forever, right? It doesn't come back down and crosses the x-axis at all. Okay. When you write out this, what you're going to do is you're going to put it into like one sentence form. Okay, so watch this. We've got -infinity to -2. We're going to put a U symbol in between. Do we know what the U symbol is? Union. It's a fancy way to say, hey, these two things go together, right? So -0.5 to positive infinity. You're just going to put a U in between them. U, exactly. You're looking over these statements. You're telling me which one is true. Okay, so read them through really quick and then okay, so before you tell me what the answer is, okay, what are these statements talking about, majority? Decrease or increase, and then what about the last two statements? What are they talking about? Okay, so let's go ahead and identify when it's increasing and when it's decreasing, right? So we're increasing from here to here. We're increasing from here to here. And then we are decreasing all this route, right? Okay. Is it ever negative? No. Okay, look at our y values. They're all positive, right? So it's all positive. Okay, so do we ever have a negative value? No. We can go ahead and throw out D, right? Okay, so now let's figure out when it's increasing, when it's decreasing. Okay, what's the X value right in here? Okay, and what's the X value right in here? 0.8. Yeah, it's okay. It's tiny. Okay. Now, looking at the first statement, it says there are two intervals of decrease. Is that a true statement? No, we've got two increasing, right? That's not true. All right, B says the stock price decreased on the interval 0.4 to 0.6.
Yeah.
Did it decrease? Yeah, it did. That's a true statement. Now, it didn't include the whole thing, but that's okay. The stock price increased on the interval 0.7 to 0.9. So let's look at 0.7 to 0.9. Is it increasing? Yeah. I mean, it has like a little dip, but that's close, right? It's going up. Okay, so this is true. Okay, we already said D was not true. And the stock price always has a positive value. Is that true? Yes. Okay. All right, give me like a 2-second summation of what you wrote. Yes, ma'am?
Okay. All right, we're doing it.
That's okay.
Positive over the x-axis, negative under the x-axis.
And negative is x-axis and can increase. Okay, do you agree with that? Kind of like summarizes the difference just a little bit. Go ahead, Louise.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. Gotta love my chicken scratch, right? Anything else you want to add to this? How are they different?
So, like, you don't like.
Just because it's positive doesn't necessarily mean it's increasing. Okay, good. Okay. All right. So we're gonna play tic-tac-toe. Yay. Did we play tic-tac-toe last week?